Right, excellent. So my name is Riel Rusopoulos, and I'll give you the fancy slide. This is what I look like in my wildest fantasies. We're basically we're your web superheroes. All that stuff that confuses you and irritates you, and how do I hook up this to that, and how do I get my names over to this system? That's basically what I was frustrated with, and why I built the program that I built. And essentially, what we try and help other people with is not having to worry about the technical stuff and just focusing on what your business is and how to grow it, and let us worry about how to set up all the automation and all of that kind of stuff. So I'm going to kind of play two hats here. I've got Harman, one of my superheroes here, is gonna do a little bit of ad-libbing, showing you some of the slides. We were hoping to have two separate screens, but we have one feed, so I'm going to have to sort of bounce back and forth. I'm going to flash this graphic for you very quickly. I'll talk about it later, but this is like the last 5 years of my life and the business model that all of this runs on. So really take a second, soak it up, and I'll be showing it again. So if you missed any of it, I'll explain it more. It's all good. Don't worry about it. So first of all, let me just. I want to just sort of show the software that we're building. So I want to do a little poll. Who can give me some ideas for a website? Give me a niche. Who's in an interesting niche here? Dating. Another interesting niche. Too many players anyway. Women's lingerie. I heard. I got plastic surgery over here. Anyone else got some ideas? Burlesque. Okay, I'll do burlesque. What the hell? That'll be fun. That'll be fun. All right. So what Harman's going to do is he's going to install a site for us on our platform, and this is the dashboard here. We'll get past this. I'm going to talk a little bit about, while he's doing this, I'm going to talk a little bit about the history of how I sort of got to this point and developed this. I just ignore this. He's going to fill out a couple of forms, and the thing will whir, and the hamsters will run around their wheel, and it'll be great. I just want to sort of give you some background. I mean, first of all, I grew up in the age of computers. The Commodore 64, when I was about 13, was like my enlightenment. It was the machine that could play music and games and do all this great stuff. And I learned very early how to sell games that we downloaded off of BBSs back then. There was no internet, of course. And I had a very thriving business at 14 or so, where I was making more money than my parents, with a lineup of people who wanted these games, and I'd go over and install their computers and stuff. So computers have always been a big part of what I've done. When I was in the sort of mid-90s, we had a ticketing system called Undernet that was basically for parties. I wasn't joking when I said my raver days. And before affiliate marketing, before any of that stuff was really on my radar, we had about 50,000 kids in Vancouver, and then we started London and San Francisco and a few other places that basically had these credit cards with whatever party they'd been to, and they could use them to go to the next party, and they could go to stores in the area that had our software and buy their tickets, and we had all their SMS numbers, so we'd text them, here's the location of the party, and like hundreds of kids would show up, and people were just mystified of how we could do this with no flyers or anything. So I've been doing this kind of building community for a while, and then I had a little bit of a sort of a break from it. I had some kids. I decided I wanted something that I didn't have to go to work at 1 a.m. and come back at 7, and I just wanted something really simple. So I started a Christmas lighting company, and it's called WePutUpLights.com. Immediately, it was very successful. I couldn't believe how successful it is. I just drove over to West Vancouver with a bunch of flyers, dropped them off. My first job was for $2,500, and by the time I sold that business, my average job was about $2,900, and we had clients spending $10,000, $15,000 on their Christmas lights. So so I want to talk about what I learned a little bit about from that business. I can change my slide here. Leverage was one of the big things. I mean, hiring people and using leverage in your marketing and that kind of stuff was big. What I really got out of this was the real value of a generic domain name, because right from day one, I just picked We Put Up Lights because it said what we did, right? It was nice and simple, and I didn't have to explain to anybody what we did, and if I did, they're pretty, needed something, I don't know, surgery, drugs, whatever. But because of that, I was getting, almost instantly, I'd have people from Dallas and California and Denver and Australia and England, they were sending me requests to come put up their lights. And so for the first couple of years, I'd send them back sort of, sarcastic emails about here's the price for the plane tickets that we'll need to get down to you. But it really, it was one of those things, it bugged me, like, well, this is money, I'm missing out on, how do I do this? And this is before I knew anything about coaching programs and, business in a box and push button software, all that kind of stuff was not in my radar whatsoever. I was the guy on the ladder putting up lights. And now, that said, I had built a pretty sexy website for myself where people could do a quote, they could upload a picture of their house, they could render a little estimate. I could manage all of my clients on it. And so basically I had this system that really worked, and it took quite a while to build. I mean, if anyone has built a real product catalog in their life, they know just getting the photos and the descriptions and the prices and everything up and running is a big job. So my solution was to basically build a community, build an info product on how to build your own Christmas light business and replicate my system. So essentially, we had the typical coaching program. You bought it, you got your website, you got all of my training videos, you got all your marketing materials you could order, all pre-done. You put your website name on it and your phone number, and everything else was basically done for you. So that's really what inspired the software in the first place, was me wanting to be able to replicate the business that I had done, so that I could just install the site for them that had all the leads in it already. It had all the autoresponders that I'd spent years writing and figuring out. I mean, even just simple stuff like knowing, don't go to the hotel manager. They don't care. They've got a custodian guy that they assign putting up the lights. Go to him and tell him how he's got too much to do, and you should be telling your manager to hire him. So just simple business strategies like that could help somebody increase their business really quickly with this thing was what I was sort of communicating. Long story short, that led to our software program, which I'll just bounce through that slide because I kind of already talked about what they got. So our software platform is called Excel Suite, and it does just that. It has all of the sort of marketing materials. You've got your autoresponders built in, you've got your customer database built in, you've got your order processing, you can have a shopping cart, basically everything you need to run your business. All those things where there's, go to Aweber and sign up for this, and then go over to there and get an account on that thing, and then you got to paste the code onto your page. I didn't want to do any of that stuff. So that's why we built Excel Suite to do that kind of stuff. Do you want to, how are we doing on the install there? First of all, actually, let me just say, I've got a bunch of, when I was putting this together, there's so much that goes into this stuff, keyword research, how to sort of do your Google research and that kind of stuff. So I've included some free reports and stuff, and part of this is getting you to test the system out and try the software. If you've logged into the Canada Marketing Summit site, you'll notice that there's a private page. Once you're logged in, that top header that has the sliders becomes your page. And maybe you can bring up the private page. So if you click on the top there where it says my private page, and then just slide down a little bit, you can see the second item there. It says iXL Media Gifts.zip. So this is available only if you've bought a ticket. If you went to here and you weren't logged in, you wouldn't be able to see any of these things. But it's a good example of how we can deliver digital products to people. We can deliver files as we are there. You can see down below, we can also sell access to single blog channels, groups. So all of this stuff helps you in basically creating private areas to your site that people can get that sort of content from. All right, so let's talk a little bit about the local marketing aspect. And actually, sorry, I'm jumping around here. I just want to talk about a couple of things that make our platform different than other systems out there. First of all, SEO is a huge passion of mine. It's something that I've built into the architecture of the site.